The inner meaning of all esoteric traditions is basically the same. In fact, once one understands the inner meaning, one sees they are actually the same path to the same goal. Ask of those who have attained God, all speak the same word. All the saints are of one mind, it is only those in the midst of the way who follow diverse paths. All the enlightened have left one message, it is only those in the midst of their journey will hold diverse opinions. Dadu, 16th c. Indian saint. The sacred texts of all esoteric traditions use symbols and metaphors. Higher esoteric ideas are coded to protect the knowledge from being lost in the tide of time and humanity. They are coded through symbol, sign, idiom, analogy, metaphor, and parable, to protect esoteric knowledge from the profane. Alexander Horn, 20.thc. Fourth Way Spiritual Teacher. The Sutras of the Buddha contain countless metaphors. Because mortals have shallow minds, they don't understand anything deep. Bodhidharma, first patriarch of Zen Buddhism. 6th c. Although some of these symbols and metaphors are unique to one particular tradition, relating to the culture and time that the tradition developed in, they are usually common to many or all esoteric traditions. The mystery of Christ's redemption was not absent in any previous era, but it was made known under different symbols. Saint Augustine, 4th c. Christian saint. The inner meaning of all symbols and sais texts revolve around the principles of control of the worldly lower self, the cultivation of a spiritual path, and the awakening of the higher self into the divine present. From the most ancient times till today, this is not empty talk, but the sequence of the great way and the true method of producing an eternally living and immortal spirit and holy man. When the conscious spirit has been transformed into the primal spirit, then only one can say that it has attained an infinite capacity for transformations and, departing from the cycle of births, has been brought to the sixfold present, golden genius. Commentary on Chapter 2 of The Secret of the Golden Flower, edition of Richard Wilhelm. The holy man who understands the mysteries of creation inherent in end and beginning, becomes superior to the limitations of the transitory. For him, the meaning of time is that in it, the stages of growth can unfold in a clear sequence. He is mindful at every moment and uses the 6 stages of growth as if they were 6 dragons, the image attributed to the individual lines, on which he mounts to heaven. Commentary on Hexagram Number 1, The Creative, the I Ching p. 371, Wilhelm/Baines edition. Heaven refers to an internal state of peace and true happiness based on firm mindfulness, self-awareness. Everyone is looking for happiness in their life. Most people think that external things such as money, power, status or relationships will make one happy. When people understand that true happiness comes from within, and cannot come from externals, they become interested in religion or spirituality. Those who are fortunate, know that happiness is an internal state of conscious awareness, in which one is freed from one's inner demons. Happiness as a path is all a matter of compliance. The way to bring about happiness is to be able to act in accord with the time. When one acts in accord with the time, the yang energy expands, so that all demons flee. The life-giving potential continues increasing, and the earth is always covered with yellow sprouts, the world blooms with golden flowers. Wherever one may walk, everywhere is the Tao. No happiness is more delightful than this. Lu Yiming, The Taoist I Ching, Hexagram 16 Joy. The body of pure yang was happy in the sun, the yin demons dared not use their might. Journey to the West ch 99. Reality is so subtle that the ancient immortals called this reality a tiny pearl. In reality it has no such shape, they call it thus because there is a point of conscious energy hidden in the center, and because that point of awareness contains the whole cosmos, space, and the universe. Lu Yiming. Summary of The Secret of the Golden Flower. The Secret of the Golden Flower is a Taoist text, that uses alchemical symbols to describe a method to control or dissolve the yin energy of the lower self, earthly po-soul, and bring about the pure yang energy of the higher self or original spirit, celestial hun soul. Because of the use of alchemical symbols, the text is intimately connected to other Taoist, and also Buddhist, texts and often quotes from these texts. Many of these symbols are also used by other esoteric traditions, since the inner meaning of all esoteric tradition is the same. Would you think it odd if Hafiz said, "I am in love with every church and mosque and temple and any kind of shrine because I know it is there that people say the different names of the one God"? Hafiz? Consequently, the secret of the golden flower must be seen from larger perspective. The method used in the text is called turning around the light. Turning the light around is the secret of dissolving yin and controlling the lower self. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 2. The method used by the ancients for escaping from the world consisted in refining away the dregs of yin in order to return to the pure Qin. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 2. If the learner refines the yin lower self completely, then he will become pure yang. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 2. The method of inner development which produces a divine immortal uses man's ability to reflect back his brightness to light up within. Yuan, Commentary on the Cantong Qi, Triplex Unity, 2nd C. Taoist text. Light is another word for awareness. When one is aware of something, one sheds light on it. When one is not aware of something, it stays in the dark. Turning around the light means turning one's awareness, which is normally focused on the externals, inward, and shedding light on one's inner world. One of the many symbols for pure light or awareness is Jindan, which translates as the golden pill or elixir of life. Ancient immortals used the term golden pill as a metaphor of the essence of true consciousness. Liu Yiming, 18c. Taoist master. The golden flower is the golden pill. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 1. Both the golden flower and the golden pill, elixir, are simply symbols for true consciousness, which refers to the awareness of the higher self or original spirit. This consciousness is veiled by the discriminating or illusionary consciousness of the lower self. Making the lower self passive is done through internal action. The secret of the elixir of life consists in using action in order to attain non-action. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 1. Action refers to turning around the light. This effort will be constantly interrupted by the yin energy of the lower self, the 10,000 thoughts and emotions. The alchemical symbol of lead refers to the firmness of the internal attitude to not allow any interruptions. This is also symbolized by the yang energy of the mind of Tao, the yang line in between two yin lines in the Kan, water, trigram, not to be confused with the pure yang energy, the trigram Qian, heaven, of the higher self. Not allowing any thoughts to interrupt the effort of turning around the light is called bathing, the deepest secret, which cannot be dispensed with from the beginning to the end. This is the washing of the heart and the purification of the thoughts, which is bathing. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. From the beginning to the end refers to the beginning and end of the method of turning around the light. Washing the heart refers to getting rid of all the interest of the heart, so that only the interest to experience the presence of the original spirit is left. This means the heart has died. When a man can let his heart die, then the original spirit awakens to life. To kill the heart does not mean to let it dry and wither away, but it means that it has become undivided and gathered into one. The Buddha said, "When you fix your heart on one point, then nothing is impossible for you." The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. At the end, the method of turning around the light is abandoned. Why is it necessary to use a method of deliberate action? The reason it is indeed necessary to use the method is to get rid of degeneracy. When all degenerations are effectively done away with, then the method is not needed, just as a raft needed to cross a river is to be left behind once the river is crossed, and a net needed to catch fish is to be put away once the fish has been caught. Liu Yiming, Awakening the Tao. When one has been successful in not allowing the effort to be interrupted, the original spirit is unveiled. Inevitably, the yin energy of the lower self will return because one can only be without thoughts, the lower self can only die, for a short while. However, now one can attend to one's affairs with the presence of the original spirit. One attends to one's affairs in the midst of the emptiness, while practicing contemplation of the empty. One also knows that one cannot destroy the 10,000 things, and still one does not notice them. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. Freedom of thought means having no thought in the midst of thought. Huineng, the Platform Sutra. The deepest secret, which cannot be dispensed with from the beginning to the end. This is the washing of the heart and the purification of the thoughts, which is bathing. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. From the beginning to the end refers to the beginning and end of the method of turning around the light. Washing the heart refers to getting rid of all the interests of the heart, so that only the interest to experience the presence of the original spirit is left. This means the heart has died. When a man can let his heart die, then the original spirit awakens to life. To kill the heart does not mean to let it dry and wither away, but it means that it has become undivided and gathered into one. The Buddha said, "When you fix your heart on one point, then nothing is impossible for you." The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. At the end, the method of turning around the light is abandoned. Why is it necessary to use a method of deliberate action? The reason it is indeed necessary to use the method is to get rid of degeneracy. When all degenerations are effectively done away with, then the method is not needed, just as a raft needed to cross a river is to be left behind once the river is crossed and a net needed to catch fish is to be put away once the fish has been caught. Lu Yiming, Awakening the Tao. When one has been successful in not allowing the effort to be interrupted, the original spirit is unveiled. Inevitably, the yin energy of the lower self will return because one can only be without thoughts, the lower self can only die, for a short while. However, now one can attend to one's affairs with the presence of the original spirit. One attends to one's affairs in the midst of the emptiness, while practicing contemplation of the empty. One also knows that one cannot destroy the 10,000 things, and still one does not notice them. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. Freedom of thought means having no thought in the midst of thought. Huineng, the Platform Sutra. Sooner or later, depending on one's firmness of the moment, the lower self will reaffirm itself and the higher self will become veiled again. Through practice, the original spirit can be present longer and longer. Turning around the light is also referred to as the firing process and is one of the many symbols for the method of turning around the light. The turning around of the light is the firing process. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 3. The firing process is the central idea in Taoist alchemy. The firing process spoken of in the alchemical classics and writings of the masters is a metaphor for the order of practical spiritual work. Lu Yiming, the Inner Teachings of Taoism. The inner development of the elixir and the timing of its firing are no different at all from the ebbing and the flowing of the phases of the moon. Yu Yan, Commentary on the Cantong Qi, Triplex Unity, 2nd C. Taoist text. The firing process is not openly described in the Secret of the Golden Flower, because according to Lu Yiming, one needs to be guided by an enlightened teacher. The moon waxing to fullness is a secret passed on by word of mouth. The medicinal substances are hard to know, and the firing process is not easy to understand. Students should hasten to find a genuine teacher. Lu Yiming, Commentary on Understanding Reality. The 2nd century text Cantong Qi connects the waxing and waning of the moon to the 8 trigrams and also hexagrams of the I Ching. The inner meaning of the I Ching is the firing process. Each hexagram, and also the trigrams making up each hexagram, describes the firing process. The firing process is the 64 hexagrams. The alchemical classics and writings of the adepts, amounting to thousands of volumes, do not go beyond the principles of the I Ching. Lu Yiming, the Taoist I Ching, mixed hexagrams number 43 parting and number 44 meeting. The process of refining the yin lower self completely, and becoming pure yang is described in terms of the I Ching hexagrams. Except for the secret of turning the light around, there is no other exercise to return to Qian. The light itself is Qian, to turn it around is to return to it. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 2. Qian refers to the trigram and hexagram of pure yang called heaven. Growing from one yang to gradually reach the pure wholeness of 6 yangs, going from vague to clear, the gold elixir develops naturally. Lu Yiming, the Inner Teachings of Taoism. This is the wonderful charm that is spoken of. All changes of spiritual consciousness depend upon the heart. This wonderful charm, although it works very accurately, is yet so fluid that it needs extreme wisdom and alertness, and the most complete absorption and tranquility. People without this highest degree of wisdom and alertness do not find the way to apply the charm. People without this utmost capacity for absorption and tranquility cannot keep fast hold of it. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 1. Through this process, also shown in the first 6 ox-herding pictures on the right, the golden flower gradually opens and comes in full bloom. The further the work advances, the more the golden flower blooms, and the subtler the method of turning around the light becomes. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 8. Now that the golden flower is in bloom, the mystical pearl can stabilize. The Canton Chi says, the unstable pearl of the sun always wants to leave people. Finally finding the golden flower, they change and stay by each other. The golden flower is the mind of Tao. The use of the mind of Tao is to govern the human mind. After the human mind is quiet, and discriminatory awareness is extinguished, the mind of Tao has no function. Lu Yiming, Commentary on Understanding Reality. The practice of turning around the light needs to occur in any circumstance. If you are able to perform the correct technique, the method of turning around the light works whether you are walking, standing, sitting, or reclining. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 10. When you follow the teaching of turning around the light, a man doesn't need to give up his ordinary occupation in doing it. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Chapter 7. Turning around the light is active meditation. One can practice it sitting in a quiet room, as preparation for practicing it in one's daily circumstances. An ancient said, when people are in the midst of the disturbance, this is a good time to apply effort to keep independent. Stay comprehensively alert in the immediate present, and suddenly an awakening will open up an experience in the midst of it all that is millions of times better than that of quiet sitting. Huang Yuan Qi, Annals of the Hall of Blissful Development. People meditating on the fundamental, carry out their ordinary tasks and activities in the midst of meditation, and carry out meditation in the midst of ordinary tasks and activities. There is no disparity between meditation and activity. It is for those as yet incapable of this, those weak in focusing their intent on the way, that special meditation periods were set up. Musoso Seki, 14th c. Japanese poet and garden designer, Lao Tzu, Christ and Bodhisattva Manjusri seated on their animals represents the mind of Tao controlling the lower self, while the lower self is in the midst of ordinary tasks and activities. I Ching, hexagram number 11, peace/tranquility, when the spirit of heaven rules in man, his animal nature takes its appropriate place. Sufi tradition, Al-Jilani, 12th c. Sufi, when the believer has mastered his lower self, so that it serves as a riding mount beneath him, the deeds of his heart will shine forth upon his face. 2 Kings of Light, symbolizing the firmness of lead and also the beginning and end of the method of turning around the light. 2 Dragons, like the 2 Kings of Light, symbolizing the beginning and end of the method of turning around the light, chasing the unstable mystical pearl. The bull represents the lower self. The ox herder represents the mind of Tao. The lower self is brought under control. In each image the bull loses some black representing yin energy, and gains some white, representing yang energy. In the 6th picture the bull is pure yang. Relaxing one's effort. One sees everything comes from one's mind. The emptiness of the presence of the original spirit or higher self. Text of image 10, I mingle with the people of the world. I use no magic, referring to the method of action, to extend my life. My conscious life, self-awareness. Growing from one yang, the hexagram return, to 6 yang's heaven, Qian. 1. The heavenly heart. 1. Master Lu, Dongbin, said, the state of the self is called Tao. The Tao has no name or form, it is just the essence, just the original spirit. Essence and life cannot be seen. They are contained in the light of heaven. The light of heaven cannot be seen. It is contained in the 2 eyes. 2. Since ancient times, Those who realized spiritual immortality have passed on the Tao by word of mouth, from one to another. 3. Since Lao Tzu became immortal, Master Donghua passed on the teaching to me. Then the southern and northern schools of complete reality followed, after which the complete reality school fully flourished. 4. The movement flourished in the sense that there were many students, at the same time it declined in the sense that the inner teaching deteriorated. This has continued up to the present day, so that now it is extremely superficial and diluted. 5. The degeneration of the teaching has reached an extreme. Extremes give rise to reversions. Therefore Master Shu bestowed his kindness to liberate people, especially setting up the teaching of a special transmission outside of doctrine, for those who had the highest capability to understand. For everybody who heard, it was a rare opportunity. Those who accepted it formed a religious association in their time. Everyone should respect and understand the effort of Master Shu and firmly hold on to the teaching when dealing with people in one's daily activities within society. Only then can one cultivate reality and realize one's essence. 6. Now I am bestowed with the honor to be your guide and will first reveal to you the secret of the Taiyi golden flower, and then, I will explain the rest in detail. 7. The Taiyi is the term given to that which has nothing above it. The secret of the elixir of life consists in using action in order to attain non-action. One must not wish to leap over everything and penetrate directly. The doctrine I transmit directly brings up working with essence and does not fall into a secondary method. That's why it's wonderful. 8. The golden flower is light. What is light? It is symbolized by a golden flower, which hides the word light in it. It is the true energy of the prenatal Taiyi. This is what is meant by the saying, the lead in the homeland of water has only one taste. 9. The work of turning the light around depends entirely on the method of reversal, to concentrate one's thoughts on the heavenly heart. The heavenly heart lies between the sun and the moon, the two eyes. The Book of the Yellow Court says, in the inch-2 field of the square-foot house, life can be regulated. The square-foot house is the face. As for the inch-2 field on the face, what can it be other than the heavenly heart? In the middle of the inch-2 dwells the splendor. In the purple hall of the city of jade dwells the God of utmost emptiness and life. The Confucians call it the empty dwelling in the middle, the Buddhists call it the terrace of the spirit, the Taoists call it the ancestral land, the yellow court, the mysterious pass or the prenatal opening. 10. The heavenly heart is like a house, the light is the master of the house. Therefore once you turn the light around, the energies of the whole body appear at the court, as when a sage king has established the capital and found his throne, the 10,000 states will approach with tribute. Or as when the master is astute, menservants and maids obey his orders of their own accord and each does his work. Therefore you have only to turn the light around, that is the deepest and most wonderful secret. 11. The light is easy to move, but difficult to fix. If it is made to circulate long enough, then it crystallizes, that is the Dharma body of the state of self. This crystallized spirit is formed beyond the 9 skies. This is what the scriptures of the mind seal called, then you may silently contemplate the Supreme Ruler and in 12 years' time may wing your flight above. In carrying out this principle there is no other method that brings more progress, one must only concentrate one's thoughts on it. The Shurangama Sutra says, by purifying thought one can fly and will be born in heaven. Heaven is not the wide blue sky but the palace of the creative, born of the body. If one keeps this up for a long time there develops quite naturally, in addition to the body, yet another spirit body. 12. The golden flower is the golden pill, elixir of life. All changes of spiritual consciousness depend upon the heart. This wonderful charm, although it works very accurately, is yet so fluid that it needs wisdom and alertness, and the most complete absorption and tranquility. People without this highest wisdom and alertness won't find the way to apply the charm, people without this utmost capacity for absorption and tranquility cannot hold on to it. 2. The original spirit and the discriminating spirit. 1. Master Lu, Dongbin, said, from the point of view of the universe, man is like a mayfly. But from the point of view of the Great Way, the universe too, is like a bubble and a shadow. Only the original spirit or true essence is beyond time. 2. Vitality and energy degenerate along with the universe, but the original spirit always exists. This is the infinite. The creation of the universe is derived from this. When students understand how to guard and protect the original spirit, they reincarnate outside of yin and yang and they are beyond the three worlds. This is possible only by seeing essence. This is what is called the original face. 3. When a human being reincarnates and takes shelter in an embryo, the original spirit dwells in the inch 2, between the eyes, but the discriminating spirit dwells in the lower heart. The lower heart of blood and flesh has the shape of a large peach, it is covered by the wings of the lungs, supported by the liver, and held up by the bowels. If one does not eat for one day, the heart will feel very uncomfortable. If it hears something terrifying, it throbs. If it hears something enraging, it stops. If it is faced with death, it becomes sad. If it sees beauty, it is dazzled. But the heavenly heart in the head, does it ever move, even slightly? You ask, can't the heavenly heart move? I answer, how can the true intent in the inch 2 move? If it really moves, that is not good, for when ordinary men die, then it moves. But it is good when the light has crystallized in a Dharma body, gradually becoming consciously effective, and about to move. But that is a secret, which has not been revealed through the ages, for the discriminating lower heart is like a strong vassal or fierce general who bullies the feeble emperor and takes the law in his own hands from a faraway position. As time passes, the affairs of state are upside down. 5. Now fix and keep attention on the original palace, like a brilliant emperor sitting high on the throne. The eyes start circulating the light like two ministers at the right and left wholeheartedly supporting. With the internal government strictly in order, then naturally all rebels will present themselves with lances reversed ready to take orders. 6. The highest secrets of the Tao of the Elixir of Life are 3, Vitality Water, Spirit Fire, and Intent Earth. What is Vitality Water? It is the true, one prenatal energy. Spirit Fire is the light, Intent Earth is the heavenly heart of the middle palace. The fire of spirit is the function, Intent Earth is the substance, and Vitality Water is the foundation. 7. Ordinary people get the sense of their bodies through the impulse of their heart. The body is not only the 7-foot-tall physical body. There is a lower self, earthly soul, in the body. The lower self functions in association with discriminating awareness. The existence of discriminating awareness depends on the lower self. The lower self is yin and is the substance of discriminating awareness. If discriminating awareness is not interrupted, transformation and transmutation of the lower self go on endlessly from generation to generation. Then there is the higher self, celestial Hun soul, where the spirit is concealed. The higher self resides in the eyes during the day and lodges in the liver at night. When it resides in the eyes, it sees; when it lodges in the liver, it dreams. 8. Dreams are the wanderings of the spirit. It traverses the 9 heavens and 9 earths in an instant. If you are dull and withdrawn on awakening, that is a sign of being detained by the body, which means being chained by the lower self. Refining the higher self is brought about by turning around the light, which is a means of preserving the spirit, a means of controlling the lower self, and a means of interrupting discriminating awareness. 9. The method used by the ancients for escaping from the world consisted in refining away the dregs of yin in order to return to the pure creative. It is just a matter of dissolving the lower self and completing the higher self. Turning the light around is the method of dissolving yin and controlling the lower self. Except for the secret of turning the light around, there is no other exercise to return to the creative. The light itself is the creative, to turn it around is to return to it. Just persist in this method, and naturally Vitality Water will be sufficient, Spirit Fire will ignite, Intent Earth will stabilize, and thus the holy embryo gestates. 10. A dung beetle rolls a pill of dung, from which life emerges, by the pure effort of concentration of spirit. If now an embryo can grow in a dung ball, and shed its shell, why then should not the dwelling place of our heavenly heart also be able to create a body if we concentrate the spirit upon it? 11. Once the spirit of true essence has descended into the palace of Qian, it divides into the higher and lower self. The higher self, celestial Hun soul, resides in the heavenly heart. It is yang and has a light and clear energy. It is that which we have received from the great emptiness, that which is identical in form with the primordial beginning. The lower self, earthly Po soul, is yin and has a heavy and dense energy. It is bound to the heart of flesh. 12. The higher self loves life. The lower self looks toward death. All sensuous desires and impulses of anger are the doing of the lower self, which is also called the conscious spirit. After death, it enjoys feeding on blood. When alive, it suffers. Yin returns to yin, through the principle of like attracts like. If the learner refines the yin lower self completely, then he will become pure yang. 3. Turning around the light and keeping to the center. 1. Master Lu, Dongbin, said, "What is the origin of the term turning the light around?" It began with the adept Wenqi. When the light is turned around, the energies of heaven and earth, yin and yang, all congeal. This is what is called refined thought, pure energy or pure thought. 2. When one begins to apply this charm, it is as if in the middle of existence there is nothingness. When in the course of time the work is completed and beyond the body there is a body, it is as if in the middle of nothingness there is existence. 3. Only after concentrated work of 100 days will the light be genuine, only then will it become spirit fire. After 100 days, from a point of real yang in the light, suddenly a millet pearl is born by itself, just as an embryo forms from the intercourse of a man and a woman. Then you should attend it calmly and quietly. The turning around of the light is the firing process. 4. In the original creation there is yang light, which is the determining factor. In the material world it is the sun, in a human being it is the eyes. Spiritual and consciousness energy runs away or leaks mechanically through the eyes. Therefore, the way of the golden flower depends wholly on the method of reversal. 5. Turning the light around is not just turning around the essence of one body, but turning around the very energy of creation. It is not stopping wandering thoughts only temporarily, but directly emptying samsara, the turning of the wheel, of 1,000 kalpas. 6. Therefore the duration of a breath means a year according to human reckoning and 100 years measured by the long night of the ninefold underworld. 7. After a baby gives the first cry, ho, at birth, he grows up according to the circumstances, and until his old age he will never look backward. When his yang energy fades and disappears, he enters the ninefold underworld. The Shurangama Sutra says, "Through pure thoughts one can fly, through emotions one falls." When students take little care of their thoughts and give too much weight to their emotions, they fall into the lower ways. Only through observing clearly and making one's breathing quiet, can one reach perfect enlightenment. This is application of the method of reversal. 8. In the Yin Convergence Classic it is said, "The eyes are the key." In Suan from the Inner Classic of the Yellow Emperor it is said, "The essence of the human body flows upward and fills the empty apertures." If one understands this, one has the key to attaining immortality and transcending the world. This is a practice that pervades the three religions of Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. 9. The light is not in the body alone, nor is it only outside the body. Mountains, rivers, sun, moon, and the whole earth are all this light, so it is not only in the self. All the operations of intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom are also this light, so it is not only outside the self. The light of heaven and earth fills the universe, the light of one individual also naturally extends through the heavens and covers the earth. Therefore, once you turn the light around, heaven and earth, mountains and rivers, are all turned around. 10. The essence of man fills upwards to the eyes, that is the great key of the functioning of the human body. You should think about this. If you do not practice meditation every day, this light flows out, who knows when it will stop? If you only sit quietly for a quarter of an hour, you get rid of 10,000 kalpas and 1,000 lives. Inconceivably, the 10,000 dharmas all revert to stillness with this wonderful truth. 11. When the practice is started, one proceeds from the shallow to the deep, from the coarse to the fine. It's always better if there is no interruption. The effort is the same from beginning to end, but its experience during the process is personal and only known to oneself. Only when you return to the state of the unbounded ocean and the empty sky, and one accepts 10,000 dharmas just as they are, then you have got it. 12. What the sages have passed on has not departed from inner illumination. Confucius called it ultimate knowledge, Buddha called it the observing mind, Lao Tse called it inner observation. It is all the same. 13. Anyone can talk about inner illumination, but one cannot master it if one does not know what these words mean. It means returning from the lower heart to the origin of form and spirit. Within our 6-foot body we must strive for the body, which existed before the laying down of heaven and earth. Nowadays people sit and meditate 1 or 2 hours, still immersed in their lower self, and call this inner illumination. How can anything come of it? 14. The two founders of Buddhism and Taoism have taught that one should look at the tip of one's nose. But they did not mean that one should concentrate on the tip of the nose. Neither did they mean that while one's eyes are looking at the tip of the nose, one's thoughts should be concentrated on the middle yellow quart. Wherever the eyes look, one's attention follows. How can one direct one's attention at 2 places at the same time? This is just like taking the finger pointing at the moon for the moon itself. 15. What then is really meant by this? The idea of focusing on the tip of the nose is very clever. The nose must serve the eyes as a guideline, but the nose itself is not the issue. If one's eyes are wide open, one looks into the distance, so the nose is not seen. If the eyelids shut too much, so that the eyes close, then again the nose is not seen. When the eyes are open too wide, one's attention is easily scattered outward. When they are closed too much, one easily gets lost in dreamlike states. Only when the eyelids are lowered properly halfway, is the tip of the nose seen in just the right way, and therefore it is taken as a guideline. 16. The main thing is to lower the eyelids in the right way, and then to allow the light to come in naturally. You don't need to make any special effort. Looking at the tip of the nose serves only as the beginning of the inner concentration, so that the eyes are brought into the right direction for looking, and then are held to the guideline. After that, one can let it be. That is the way a mason hangs up a plumb line. As soon as he has hung it up, he guides his work by it without continually bothering himself to look at the plumb line. 17. Stopping and observing is a Buddhist method that originally was not secret. One looks attentively with both eyes at the tip of the nose, sits upright in a comfortable position, and focuses the heart around the center, which is also called the yellow middle in Taoism. It not necessarily means the center of the head. It is only a matter of fixing one's attention on the point which lies between the 2 eyes. Light is something extremely volatile. When one fixes the attention on the midpoint between the 2 eyes, the light naturally enters. One doesn't need to direct the attention to the middle castle. These few words include all essential points. As for the rest, matters of entering and exiting stillness, the prelude and the aftermath, one can check the book Small Stopping and Observing for a reference. 18. Focusing around the center is a very subtle expression. The center is omnipresent, the whole universe is contained in it. This indicates the crucial point of creation, and through this one enters the gate. One takes focusing as a hint, so that one doesn't become rigidly fixed. This expression is alive and subtle. 19. Stopping and observing are inseparable, they mean concentration and insight. When thoughts arise, you don't need to sit still as before, but you should investigate this thought. Where is it? Where does it come from? Where does it go? Repeat this inquiry until you realize it cannot be grasped, then you will see where thoughts arise. After that you don't need to seek out the point of arising anymore. Having looked for my mind, I realize it cannot be grasped, I have pacified your mind for you. 20. This is right observation. What opposes this is incorrect. Once one realizes it cannot be grasped, one keeps practicing stopping followed by observing and keeps practicing observing followed by stopping. This is the double cultivation of stopping and observing. This is turning the light around. The turning around is stopping, the light is observing. Stopping without observing is called turning around without light, observing without stopping is called having the light without turning it around. Remember this. 4. Turning around the light and tuning the breathing. 1. Master Lu Dongbin said, the doctrine just requires that one practices with a pure heart. One does not seek verification, that will come by itself. 2. Generally, beginners suffer from two problems, oblivion and distraction. There is a solution to get rid of them, which is simply to connect the heart to the breath. 3. The character for self, and the character for heart, make up the character for breath. When the heart is stirred, there is movement of energy. Energy is basically transformed activity of the heart. Our thoughts are very fast. When a wandering thought takes place in a moment, inhalation and exhalation respond to it. Therefore inner and outer breathing follow each other like sound and echo. Daily we draw 10,000s of breaths and have an equal number of wandering thoughts. As the clarity of the spirit leaks away, one becomes like a withered tree or dead ashes. 4. So should one have no thoughts? To be without thoughts is impossible. Should one not breathe? It is impossible not to breathe. The best way is to find medicine for this illness, which means to have heart and breath rest on each other. 5. Therefore, turning the light around is connected with tuning the breath. This method only uses the brightness of the ear. There is light of the eye, that is the united light of the external sun and moon. There is also light, brightness, of the ear, which is the united essence of the internal sun and moon. Essence is where the light congeals and settles. Essence and light have the same origin but have a different name. So clarity, of hearing and seeing, is just the result of spiritual light. 6. When you sit down, lower your eyelids, establish your intention and then let go. However, if after you let go, you are not able to achieve your intention, then be attentive to the sound of your breathing. 7. One should not be able to hear one's breathing, just listen to its silence. Once it's audible, the breathing is coarse and superficial. Then be patient and breath lightly, the more you let go, the subtler it becomes. The subtler it is, the more quiet it becomes. 8. After a long time, all of a sudden this subtle breath will be interrupted, true breathing manifests and the mind-body can be discerned. If the mind is light, the breathing is subtle. Once the mind is unified, it moves, controls, breath energy. If breathing is subtle, the heart is light. Once breath energy, chi, is unified, it moves, controls, the mind. Stabilization of the mind must be preceded by cultivating breath energy, because it is difficult to control the mind. Therefore breath energy is used as a handle, and this is what is called maintaining pure breath energy. 9. My fellow students, you may not understand the nature of movement. Movement here refers to making something move by pulling its strings, and is only another name for control. If one can make the mind move merely by pulling, should one not also be able to bring it to rest by pure tranquility? 10. The sages who observed how the heart and breath energy are connected, set up this method in order to benefit later generations. In the book of the Elixir it is said, the hen can hatch her eggs because her heart is always listening. This is an important magic spell. The way a hen gives life to an egg is through giving it warm energy. Warm energy can only warm the shell, but cannot penetrate the inside. Therefore she conducts this energy inward with her heart. This is the act of listening with single-minded attention. When attention penetrates, the energy enters, and the warm energy brings life to the egg. 11. Even when a hen at times leaves her eggs, her head is always inclined to listen and the attention of her spirit is never interrupted. With the attention of her spirit never ceasing, the warm energy is uninterrupted day and night, so that the spirit comes alive. The awakening of the spirit is accomplished because the heart has first died. When a man can let his heart die, then the original spirit awakens to life. To kill the heart does not mean to let it dry and wither away, but it means that it has become undivided and gathered into one. The Buddha said, when you fix your heart on one point, then nothing is impossible for you. The heart easily runs away, so it is necessary to purify it by means of breath energy. Breath energy easily becomes rough, therefore it has to be refined by the heart. If you do this, how can the mind fail to stabilize? 12. Generally speaking,